I'm Brett Hayworth, and welcome to What's a Frequency, our weekly show on Siouxland Public Media. A notable day will soon arrive in the first week of May with the holiday of Cinco de Mayo on May 5th. Since that day falls on a Monday this year, a lot of celebrations will instead be held on Saturday, May 3rd. But Cinco de Mayo seems to be in flux in terms of how widely celebrated it is in terms of being a festival to celebrate Mexican culture. To discuss what's happening with the holiday in the Sioux City Metro this year, and trends with Cinco de Mayo, we have three guests. We have Olga Guevara, who is Executive Director for Unity and Community of South Sioux City, plus Lupe Gonzalez, who's involved with the celebration in Sioux City as a business owner of multiple businesses, and Karen Mackey. She's the Executive Director of the Human Rights Department of the City of Sioux City. Thank you all for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
To begin, Olga, tell us about Unity in Action. What is the work that your agency seeks to do?
Yeah, so Unity in Action is a nonprofit organization that is located in South Sioux City, Nebraska, and we've been around for more than a decade. Our mission is primarily to educate and to help provide resources for the Latino and the immigrant community. We focus on Latino immigrants. What's nice about our agency and what is unique is that all of our staff is Latino, and at least 50% of our board leadership is also Latino. And so just to name a few programs that we cover, we have citizenship courses that we offer throughout the year. We also have a program that is focused more on community health, and this is not just physical health, but also financial health. And then along with that, we think it's critical and that it's a vital importance that we have a space where people feel like they belong. So we created a program, and it's more of a celebration, community-wide celebration under the name of Celebrate Siouxland.
Okay.
And with this, we just hope to create spaces and activities where people have a greater sense of belonging. Last but not least, we have our leadership development program, which focuses on youth. And we offer education on finances, higher education. We connect them to resources. And then we also connect them to our networks of other Latino professionals so that they can shadow and they can also build their own extended networks. And so we've been around for a decade, and we're proud to serve our community.
Do you feel like you're nicely established? Are you where you want to be, or in a growth phase still, or like how would you categorize that?
There's always room for growth in the nonprofit sector, but I think we have a lot of work to do, but in terms of really just building the foundation of the organization, we're at a really good place right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then Lupe Gonzalez, when I said you own multiple businesses, fill us in on all of that, I guess.
Well, we have two sports bars, which is the Don Sports Bar and Grill, one in South Sioux and one in Sioux City. We have Mi Familia Mexican restaurant, also in South Sioux. And we have Tu Familia in Omaha, Nebraska, and also own a nightclub here in Sioux City, Iowa.
How are all those businesses doing for you?
The community's been good to us. We're blessed. We had great support from the community here in the Siouxland area. So we are very fortunate to be one of the businesses that has kept afloat and is able to still feed our families.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I want to get into some specifics, but I guess one of the backgrounds for the discussion is the number of people of Latino heritage or Mexican heritage as we're talking about Cinco de Mayo. So if any of the three of you can share some stats, I know the school system at South Sioux City is more than 50% Latino. Is that correct?
Around 75%. In South Sioux, 31.3% of the population are foreign born, and at least 45% of the population identifies as Latino or Hispanic. And so these are pretty significant numbers for such a small community of around 14,000 people. And so you could see the richness and the diversity and the vibrancy. On Dakota Avenue, there is an array of establishments and businesses. And so we're very happy and fortunate to be serving South Sioux and also the Siouxland in the greater area.
And I think when I first met you last September or August was the immigrant
business
tour.
Yes.
Yeah. So as you said, there's a lot. So
yes, and this is part of our Welcoming Week activities. We are part of a national movement, really just focusing on creating welcoming spaces for folks in our community. And so last year we had the very first immigrant business tours in on Dakota Avenue in South Sioux City. And we highlighted some of the Asian restaurants. We also highlighted the Latino businesses, of course. And along with that, we talked about some of the challenges that these businesses face, some of the lack of information or resources that perhaps they are not able to reach because of language barriers, just not being able to understand, where to go for resources. And so it was really fun for our community to hear some of the celebrations, but also interesting to hear the challenges and identify opportunities for growth.
And Karen, how about in Woodbury County or Sioux City? Do you have percentage of Latino population?
The Latino population is around 23% in the Sioux City area. It's growing every year. We're becoming more and more diverse.
Yeah, and we'll have a very wide-ranging discussion as we always do on what's the frequency. But what is the value of having multiple peoples, multiple perspectives, multiple heritages living in what is the value of that to the entire area?
I would say economic growth. I mean, if you're not here to grow, if you're coming from a different country or a different place where your life isn't the best and you come here, well, you're coming here to be better, to do better. So I would say it's a huge economic growth. Some of these agencies like Olga was talking about that have different diversities. I mean, what is better to run a group than different opinions, different aspects, different cultures, different heritages, different beliefs, is, I think, what's made this country the strongest country in the world.
Thank you, Lupe. Either Karen or
without
Olga.
that, really, a community dies. You need to have diversity in every aspect, especially diversity in thought, and that comes from coming from different cultures, having different backgrounds, having different life experiences.
I think there's a conversation around just speaking one language. And so I think that when we focus on having only one thing of everything, it's a disadvantage. We're not connecting. We're not learning. As Lupe mentioned, there's economic opportunity, greater economic opportunity. There's so much more that we can contribute as individuals. And I always say we don't know it all. We're always, learning from others. And so I think that's a great advantage. And then also not to mention, the diversity of music, celebrations, food, of course. And so I think that's just makes for a better quality of life.
Thank you. And an important note, the music you're hearing in this show today is from the Denison, Iowa High School Mariachi Band, which I visited last fall. Thanks to the students for that wonderful day. And for this edition of What's the Frequency, we're talking about how Cinco de Mayo is kind of an evolving holiday, not only in Siouxland, but it seems to be nationally as well. I have Olga Guevara. She's with Unity in Action of South Sioux City. We have Lupe Gonzalez, who is one of the, I guess you'll have one of the places at Cinco de Mayo celebration on the 7th, right? Or I'm sorry, on the 3rd, yes.
That is correct.
And then Karen Mackey, she's the director of the Human Rights Agency in Sioux City. Let's get into some specifics about Cinco de Mayo. What is May 5th? And if it's not actually the Independence Day of Mexico, someone share what May 5th is? What happened on May 5th? Why it's notable?
May 5th, I think we were just discussing a little bit about it. It's not a holiday. It's not a holiday by any means. What it breaks down to, it was a fight. It was a fight. That's all it was. It was a small fight. I think the more of the meaning of it is the resiliency, the strength of a small group defeating a big group, which we're talking about a small army. I don't remember the commander that led that army against the French. So it was actually a fight against the French, where Mexico had a smaller army and defeated a bigger army. Mm-hmm. For that matter, in Mexico, we don't really have a celebration for Cinco de Mayo. I mean, you have it in Puebla because that's where the actual battle occurred. So you have the parade, that's it. You have the parade. But I think that is where that comes from, where we Americanize it here as consumers, as business owners, why not? It's a great day for a margarita, right? I mean, let's just call it Cinco de Mayo and let's bring out the margaritas. But I think there's a big misconception of that and Independence Day,
right?
Which is a few months away.
So I think the battle was Battle of Puebla, 1862.
1862.
Am I close? Okay.
In Puebla, Mexico.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the French army that was defeated, and it was definitely a small number of people versus a large number of the French army. So that was a very big magnitude win, I guess.
Yeah.
And set.
That's why the way I look at it, it's what Mexicans are capable of doing when they unite. If they unite, look at how strong we can be. But when we don't, and we won how do they say, we won the battle but not the war? It's basically what it comes down to.
So is a big misconception that it's Mexican Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day? Is that correct?
It's not Mexican.
But I mean, it's not. But is that a big?
That is the misconception. Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess it depends who you're talking to.
Okay. It depends on. Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It depends, and it's not.
Some people know. Some people don't know.
Yeah, and Cinco de Mayo, it's not. Doesn't include our brothers from South America or any of that. It's a Mexican. It's a Mexican battle. It's Mexican, whatever you want to call it, party, celebration. Because it is in actuality a celebration, because they took a big win.
Mm-hmm. So then, can one of you go ahead, Karen?
The important thing to me is that it was a much smaller group, and they were largely indigenous people.
Yeah.
Being indigenous myself, I'm very proud of that.
That's what they were. Yes.
They were defending their home, and defeated a much larger group.
And that's what the fight was about. It was defending their ground, their home. You're not going to come in here. This is ours. And like you said, we forget about that this was a bunch of indigenous people that actually stood to this French army that was very well put together. Mm-hmm. They thought they were going to come in and just wipe everybody out and take the land.
I guess coincidentally, I didn't know I was going to bring this up, but I've been reading a book over the weekend. It's about black people getting freedom, essentially, from slavery. But in the late 1700s, like 1790s, in the early 1800s, there was like Haiti and other islands off of, I guess, southeast of America. And it was just independence from France. This place got independence from France. So it took a little while more for Mexico. So this was more like the 1860s. And so let's talk about then Independence Day. When is Independence Day? September
16th is Independence Day. And so I just want to add that I think that
Please.
the growing Mexican pride is derived from, as Lupe mentioned, the underdog defeating a larger army. But there is a confusion among Americans that is Independence Day because you see the Mexican flags, you see this greater sense of pride and this greater display of culture and identity. And of course, with that, there comes the business component that it's a way to make money, to make revenue, and to just attract more clients and connect with other groups of people. And so I also read that the celebration of Puebla, the Cinco de Mayo, originated in Colombia, California in 1862. And so it's definitely tied to Mexican heritage, Mexican culture, the Mexicans that were in California trying to connect with their culture and just being part of the pride.
Which I think brings us now to where a lot of the American Mexicans or Mexican Americans find a way to connect with some of the roots, with where you come from. Why do, I mean, it's something great. Like you said, it's something, the underdog won. They were counted out and they won. So I think that has a lot to do with the younger generation as well of Mexican Americans that can actually feel proud of one more thing that Mexico has accomplished. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big avenue as well for a lot of our younger generations at that.
Well, based on some things that you guys have just said here, I guess let's go to this question at this point. But I want to thank my colleague Alejandra Perez for helping with this. But do you think Mexican and Mexican Americans do they typically use Cinco de Mayo to celebrate their heritage, or maybe not so much?
No, I would say no. I mean, it's a way to connect, to know a little bit about it, but from what I've seen, I guess in a business aspect of it, I don't see a bunch of Mexican kids coming over and say, "Hey, Cinco de Mayo, let's have a margarita." I don't see that, but I do see the American people coming in and celebrating that. Which, don't get me wrong, it's okay, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's just that's not something that we connect with here. Maybe if we were back in Mexico and we were in Puebla, yeah, that'd be a little different.
Anyone else thoughts on that?
I just think that it's a day where we can walk the world and be proud to be Mexican. I think that, as Lupe mentioned, it's something that we don't plan for, we don't gather. I think there's a greater celebration in Independence Day throughout the month of September. We see many celebrations in various cities here in the region.
Sometimes they're like a week instead of a day, right?
Yes, and so our welcoming week activities
we need one of those.
are week long. And so the month of September is an entire month of celebrations. And so not only here locally and regionally, but also across the United States. Of course, Mexico is a big party all month long. But I do think that just acknowledging the fact that, this is a holiday around Mexican culture, it does provide a sense of belonging for folks. And it also creates some visibility for us in the sense of, okay, so despite of what we're seeing nowadays in the conversation and the rhetoric that's in the media, there's still a desire to in some way celebrate or perhaps consume our culture, right? And so I think there's a conflict between should we be proud that this holiday is being celebrated where we don't celebrate in Mexico, or is it just a feeling of cultural appropriation? Could it be that?
Right.
And so I think for a lot of people there's mixed feelings. We're glad that there is a celebration that is centered around Mexico, but there's also that conflict. And so that's an evolving conversation. And I do think that the newer generations can see the differences, and even though we might not have these conversations in our families or in our immediate circles, we just know. It's not
Right.
something that we celebrate.
Right. And I want to, I guess, say thank you to all three of you, Karen, Lupe, and Olga, for coming in. When I first pitched this as an idea to come in and talk about, it's taken a turn from what I thought we initially would be talking about as I've researched it more and hearing all your thoughtful responses. So I'm glad that you were here and are willing to have a nuanced response or nuanced conversation about all this. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I also think that Cinco de Mayo does deserve something, whether it's a gathering. It's a way to show our food, our music, our gatherings. Just, I think it's important. The way I always looked at it is kind of like a pre-celebration for our Independence Day. Honestly, you get
Like a warm
yeah, exactly.
Months
Well,
ahead.
it can be a month ahead. So I think, people get to experience our cheerful traditions, cultures, our food, our music, our mariachis, our, anything and everything. I think it is important in our community to have celebrations like that, whether it's Cinco de Mayo, whether it's Independence Day, whether it's whatever it is, to see a sense of togetherness is what I believe we lack sometimes as a Mexican community, or for that matter, a Hispanic community. My thought's always been, if we stand together, we would be so strong in every aspect of this country, of the city, of everything. And, I'm hoping that someday we can get there. We can get there to where we can all be one, and it'd be amazing for all of us.
Thank you, Lupe. For this edition of What's the Frequency, we're discussing the evolving holiday of Cinco de Mayo, and I have three guests. Karen Mackey is the Executive Director of the Human Rights Department of the City of Sioux City. Lupe Gonzalez is involved with the celebration in South Sioux City, and he's a business owner of many businesses. And Olga Guevara, she's Executive Director of Unity in Action organization in South Sioux City. So, Karen, I want to go to, this is off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I believe that the City of Sioux City used to sponsor I don't know if the city sponsored it, but there used to be a Sioux City Cinco de Mayo celebration. Is that correct, or am I off base on that?
It wasn't city sponsored,
Okay.
but I do want to touch base on some of the things that
Absolutely.
both have said.
Go
is
back.
that yes, it really ends up being an opportunity for non-Mexicans to consume your culture for a day or a few days, and that can be, that can take a bad turn. But any opportunity that we have for the dominant culture to understand a little bit more about other cultures, I think it's a good thing. And so, yes,
Absolutely.
turning it into a chance to have more discussions, and yes, for people to eat the food and just discover how
Experience the culture.
amazing your food is and how diverse. Mexican food isn't just one thing. It isn't just tacos, for
No.
heaven's sakes.
No. Depends what region you're in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really a good thing, is giving people that opportunity, and for them to be then willing to try to experience another culture, even if it's just for a little while.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
agree.
I think there's great value to that. And I think it provides the space, right, for a deeper conversation.
Yes.
Perhaps, if we use our day or our platforms to talk about, okay, what really is Cinco de Mayo? What is the celebration behind that? I think it's a great tool to build community and, just have a different type of discussion, right? Since people are already open to consuming or celebrating with us. And so it creates a space for that deeper connection, building community.
What should a good Cinco de Mayo celebration have, besides food, like in terms of music or any other extras, so to speak?
I think it should have a little bit of everything from every region in Mexico. For us, I'm close to Guadalajara, Jalisco, which is one of the bigger cities in our region. Is our mariachi's rich, our folklorico's rich, but there are other regions where they have much better mariachis, much better folkloricos. Folkloricos are people that dance with the big dresses, they use their charro hats and stuff like that. So I think stuff like that, I think it is very important for people to see that, not just the food, like you said, not just the food, not just the music or anything, but actually really find out, okay, where's this food from? Where are you from? What part of Mexico is this food coming from? So I think that also, like the norteño music and stuff like that, we all need to know where all that comes from, other than just, oh, let's just go have a drink and just drink a margarita and have a party. No, I would like it to be a little bit more than just that. But I think that it is exactly what these two ladies are talking about, and that it needs to be something more than just, let's just celebrate.
I think it's important to reach out to the people from Mexico that, they are the experts of the culture. I've seen some overlap in misrepresentation of symbols and icons, right? So I've seen flyers where they have like the Day of the Dead schools for Cinco de Mayo, and the focus is perhaps more on the margaritas or the alcohol and not so much of the other components of culture. And so I agree with Lupe, is adding those additional components of folklore dance and having a mini education about the different foods available from the regions. I think it would make it for more of a broader experience, but also educational. And then we would be getting away from some of the stereotypes that can be harming to communities. And so we already know there's enough of those towards Latinos, Mexicans. And I also want to circle back to one of the questions where you asked if this was something that was significant to other people from Central and South America. Yes. I think that it can be, because it creates the visibility for Latino communities. Even though they're not Mexican, I think it opens up the space so that people can feel like they can also share components of their culture and their traditions. And so that is one of the things that we focus on with our Welcoming Week activities, and our Latino Heritage Festival in September is not just Mexican, it's other Latin
South American
countries
also
and cultures.
Their Independence Day.
Yeah.
I saw you nodding your head, Karen. Was there anything you wanted to interject there?
Not really, but yes, it needs to be all those things. And what I enjoy about Cinco de Mayo as an indigenous Dakota woman is just people really thinking about cultures other than themselves and experiencing and learning. And so I think the learning is a very important part of that. Just learning that it's not Mexican Independence Day, because so many non-Latinos think that.
I also want to add that our ancestors are also indigenous to these lands. And so Mexicans have been around these lands for centuries. And so there's a deeper connection between indigenous communities and Latinos and Mexicans. And so when we talk about merging these other groups, it's not a new thing. I mean, our ancestors were here, right, before we were.
Absolutely.
And so I also think it's important to highlight that it's not that we're celebrating new people, new cultures. A lot of these people have been here for decades.
Since time immemorial.
Since time, right, centuries. And so, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because that is also central to Mexican culture, indigenous heritage. And so there is a movement right now in Mexico to highlight some of the indigenous communities throughout the entire country. And in fact, this year has been named by President Claudia Sheinbaum the year of the indigenous woman. And that's just to highlight some of the contributions that indigenous women have provided to the country. And so having those connections and having those conversations, I think, is what's been probably missing for a long time. And resurfacing that and talking about this, I think it'll create a greater sense of awareness.
Thank you for interjecting that, Olga. That's a very interesting aspect to put into this conversation. So last couple questions before I let you go, and I appreciate your time. Let's talk about what is actually happening on May 3rd, and do you have the time?
May 3rd. This was an event back, I believe, before I moved here. Me and Olga were just talking about it, that they used to do it over at the pavilion in Sioux City, where they had a big Cinco de Mayo celebration there. For some reason, it went away. Organizers couldn't do it anymore, didn't want to do it anymore. Whatever it was. This year I was approached by Sandra Gutierrez Lopez, see if I wanted to help with trying to bring some kind of a celebration back. I thought it was a good idea. I said, close off the street there in South Sioux, bring in some vendors, people that just wanna come over. We're not gonna charge you. You're not gonna pay, but just come out and try to make something. Let's start small, and then we'll see where that goes. So, we have a couple of groups playing. We have the Folklorico coming. We're gonna have some food trucks. Well, it's Cinco de Mayo. You can't be without the beer garden. So, you're gonna have that.
Is it 11 a.m. or 1 p.m.?
It starts at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. I'm sorry. Okay.
We'll be done by 9. So 3 to 9, right on First Avenue there in South Sioux, right behind Pizza Hut. And we have a car show coming as well. We have some bouncy houses. We have some mechanical bull coming. So, a lot of the community, I got this put together, I think, within a week and stuff, of just calling people that I've known throughout the years, and they were very helpful. I think we ended up with like 18 sponsors, whether they're donating time, money, their services, part of the services, whatever it was. And I think that is, I was very happy that everybody that I called was willing to help. So that's very much appreciated. A lot of those businesses were all Hispanic owned, which is great to see. Some of them, of course, people that have supported us always, Olga as well, not just, and this is an event that I want to grow for both Cinco de Mayo and also, Independence Day. Olga did a great job last year. That was all about culture. It was all about, she had no drinks, but other than that, it was a great event, and I hope that she continues doing it, because her and her team did an amazing job at what they did. So that makes me, as a Mexican American, very proud to see her put that together at that magnitude and be it successful without any issues. So congratulations, Olga, and I hope you keep doing it.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that this is a community effort, and we had a record number of volunteers. As Lupe mentioned, it's important to bring the community along. I think that's part of the needs to be part of the sustainability component if we want to continue to have it year after year. And so reaching out to folks, other businesses, volunteers, it really is a way to build community and to build lasting relationships. And so I would love to take all the credit, but there's an entire community behind that. And so thank you. And we're any opportunity that I think we can seize to build community is always a good thing. It doesn't have to be around Mexican traditions. It could be about other activities, doing art together, the business tours, right? Highlighting not just Latino businesses, but other businesses. And so I think those are activities that it really just create a sense of belonging and just really unite the community in general.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up.
And that's awesome, just real quick, that it's not just for Mexican or Hispanics or Americans or anything. If you're African, if you're Mexican, if you're whatever you are, come check it out.
Yeah.
And just a follow-up question. So while Cinco de Mayo is May 5th, it's on Saturday the 3rd, just so you get more people there on a Saturday. Is that correct?
Correct. As
Okay.
you know, like a lot of people, they work their jobs. So it's very hard to have a celebration on a weekday for various reasons. I mean, I don't think we could do it during the week. So that's why we always pick the closest Saturday or Sunday, whichever is available to get the better benefit of the people there.
Thank you, Lupe. And then I wanted to have one last question before we go. I asked earlier about kind of the benefit of immigration and the benefit of multiculturalism. How would you three say that Latino people are faring in the Sioux City metro area, in Dakota County and Dakota, South Sioux City? It's there's changing dynamics nationally with things that are happening, but how would you say that people are faring here in Siouxland?
This is a rough time for a lot of people. And so in our office, we've seen an increasing number of people coming to us about the harassment that they are going through either at work or by other tenants where they live, children being harassed. I know I'm involved with the martial arts club, and we have a large number of people of color there, predominantly Mexican. We're probably at least 50% Mexican, and overall probably 80% are people of color. And we saw a sharp decrease in the number of people coming to work out, to the point that the head boxing instructor and then I, as the judo jiu-jitsu person, had to sit down with people and let them know you are safe here, because it seemed they were afraid to gather in large groups.
To just do things they used to do publicly,
Yes.
less of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, when Mr. Lewis and I talked to them, one of the things we ultimately said was the boxing class is the last class of the night, and we're going to have the doors unlocked for about the first 5 to 10 minutes of class, and then the doors get locked so you feel safe. It's sad that we had to do that so people would feel safe coming to exercise.
Yeah, I think that's true to other areas as well. Extracurricular activities. There's been reports of children missing school on alert days where there's alerts. Businesses reporting that, a decline in sales, depending on what's happening in the news. We've also seen a decline in participation, and just in general, there's a lot of concern and there's a lot of fear. This is another reason why it's important to celebrate, and it's another reason to be courageous and to organize around you could say a safe space. We try to have a safe space. It's difficult. It just gets more difficult as time progresses because of everything that's happening. But I think it's more important than ever to be able to organize around culture and activities that bring joy. I think people need that. People need to be seen, and also people need to have something to hold on to, right? And there's people who may not be able to go back to their home country in years, and so this is a way to connect to their heritage and to their culture.
Any last word, Lupe? Any thoughts on that?
I think you're both absolutely right. I think very tough times right now. Various agencies, as you know, the agencies here, we're here with these two ladies that have done a tremendous job at informing people, letting them know where they can be safe, what they can do. It's just so unfortunate that the strongest country in the world that was made strong by immigrants, indigenous people, just everybody were where we're at right now. We think about what would happen. Okay, say we send everybody back to wherever they're from. What's going to happen with this country? Where's our economy going to go? What are we going to do with all that? That is impossible in my eyes. Would I like to go back to Mexico? Yeah, and I'm not even from Mexico. I'm an American citizen. But I am fortunate that I can have both citizenships. I'm also a citizen of Mexico. So that makes me very proud. All my kids are on their way to being dual citizenship adults, which we have an option. But what about some of those people that don't have an option of going anywhere else or staying here in America and it collapses? Then what are you going to do? So I think that we just have to figure it out. We have to figure out common ground for everybody, make everybody feel safe. I've never felt unsafe in this country in my life. I'd lie if I tell you that I've been affected by huge racism. I haven't. Is there? Yes. Have I seen it? Yes. Have I been on the other end of it? A couple times. But I think this community, I've been here 30 years, and this community, Siouxland, is the greatest community that I've ever been around. And we just need to be more diverse, get people in command, get leaders that are diverse so we can make it better for our people here in Siouxland. Thank you very much. I think all of you really enjoyed this talk.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And that's a wrap for this edition of What's a Frequency on the evolving holiday or celebration of Cinco de Mayo. It was a wonderful conversation. We had three guests. We had Olga Guevara. She's the Unity in Action Executive Director in South Sioux City. Karen Mackey, the Executive Director of the Human Rights Department in the city of Sioux City. And Lupe Gonzalez. He's a multiple business owner of multiple businesses. I keep saying that wrong. He's the owner of multiple businesses in Sioux City and South Sioux City, right? And elsewhere, Omaha as well. Yeah, right. And he's also involved in the celebration that will be on May 3rd in South Sioux City. As we move into a second year for this show, thanks for being a part of our station as we work every day to tell the stories of Siouxland that inform, entertain, and expand the mind. Thanks for listening, and please join us again next week. What's a Frequency airs on Fridays at 10 a.m. and again on Sundays at 2 p.m. Make sure you also check out a few of our Siouxland Public Media music shows that air at 10 p.m. We have Hip Hop Chronicles on Thursdays, Mixtape Dance Party on Fridays, and 10 o'clock Blues on Saturdays. For Siouxland Public Media News, I'm Brett Hayworth.